In the following video, on a deserted night highway in Saskatchewan, where there is only darkness and endless Canadian forest, a police DVR recorded something disturbing. The headlights pick out a huge figure from the darkness, walking along the road with frightening calm. The creature does not react to the car, does not accelerate, and does not show fear. This is the official record, and it leaves more questions than answers.
Unit 30, I'm on County Road 9 northbound. You copy this?
Go ahead, 30.
I've got, I don't even know, massive subject walking the shoulder, looks like a large male.
Looking at the physical proportions in this footage, we see classic Sasquatch morphology. Notice the no-neck silhouette. The head appears to be tucked directly into the massive trapezius muscles, creating a conical shape that is nearly impossible for a human in a costume to replicate convincingly. The shoulders are incredibly broad, spanning what looks to be at least 3 feet across. Even more telling is the arm length. If you look at the creature's left side, the hand reaches down toward the knee level. In human anatomy, the fingertips usually rest at mid-thigh. This elongated limb-to-torso ratio is a primary indicator of a non-human primate. The way the light reflects off the figure's coat is another point of interest. It isn't the flat, dull sheen of synthetic fur. It has the texture of living, matted hair that holds depth and shadow. The creature's gait, described by the officer as heavy and deliberate, is footage here mid-stride. There is a fluidness to the movement, a mid-tarsal break, suggested by how the weight is distributed on the gravel shoulder. This giant isn't startled by the patrol car. It doesn't look back or exhibit the flight or fight response of a deer or a bear. It shows a total indifference to human technology, behaving as an apex predator that knows it is the master of its environment. When we use the road markings and the height of the vehicle's hood for scale, we are looking at an entity that stands well over 7 feet tall. The sheer mass required to fill out that silhouette is staggering. This official footage leaves little room for trick of the light theories. We are looking at a living, breathing mystery that stepped out of the folklore and into the glare of a dashcam. What do you think? Is this the definitive proof of the Saskatchewan Bigfoot? Let me know in the comments and stay vigilant. A lone photographer was hiking near the remote springs of Utah when he suddenly heard the crunching of leaves and branches in the trees. Startled, he quickly swung his camera in the direction of the noise and caught sight of something truly chilling. Something truly fascinating has just surfaced in the Bigfoot world, an old FBI file that might actually support the existence of these creatures. For those who aren't aware, the FBI has released thousands of previously classified files through the Freedom of Information Act, and some of them are downright strange. Here's the kicker. The FBI usually doesn't make this kind of material public unless the person involved has passed away. So the release of a 22-page document specifically about Bigfoot raises some eyebrow-raising questions. Could this imply that Bigfoot is dead, or at the very least, that the creature is real enough for the Bureau to take it seriously? Regardless, the content of these files is what really grabs attention. Let's break down what the documents actually say. The first page of this file is dated September 14th, 1976, authored by Peter C. Byrne from the Bigfoot Information Center and Exhibition, BIC, in Dallas, Oregon. Byrne wrote to the FBI's Scientific and Technical Services Division, requesting tests on some unusual hair samples they had found. 15 hairs still attached to a small piece of skin. They couldn't identify it, and thought it might be solid evidence of Bigfoot, so the samples were sent off for extensive testing. A few months later, the FBI responded. The hairs were determined to come from the deer family. For Bigfoot enthusiasts, this was a disappointing conclusion, but it's important to note, it doesn't disprove Bigfoot's existence. This particular case simply came up empty. Of course, some conspiracy theorists aren't satisfied. They argue the FBI didn't provide enough details about the tests conducted and suggest this could have been a cover-up. They speculate that the Bureau might hold other Bigfoot files, ones that actually prove its existence, and that this release was a clever way to throw the public off the trail. While the FBI has made a number of Bigfoot-related files public, they could theoretically select which ones to release, potentially only sharing those that make the creature seem unlikely. So, even though this case doesn't confirm Bigfoot, it's still a fascinating glimpse into the history of these investigations. What do you think? Cover-up or just a dead end? A Reddit user was hiking through the Appalachian Mountains, snapping photos along the trail. While on this particular hike, he began feeling an unexplained sense of unease and decided to cut his hike short. Later, when reviewing his photos, he noticed something puzzling. Near a cluster of rocks, there was a dark shape that didn't resemble the surrounding trees or stones. His details were hard to make out, but it clearly stood out. The hiker says he would have noticed if it were a bear, but he's unsure what it could be. He suspects it might have been Bigfoot silently observing him. What's your take on it? In 1969, Alan Plaster captured footage of a strange white-haired figure near Lake Worth, Texas. Soon after, locals reported sightings of a 7-foot-tall creature with a goat-like face, long claws, and a terrifying scream. Vehicles were scratched, residents panicked, and then the creature vanished, leaving only its legend behind. Fast forward to 2025, and a new video emerged showing a dark, fur-covered figure in the same area, this time filmed in daylight.
Look at it close up right here. As you can see, it's all black. Massive. Easily a 9-footer. Check it out. Look at his gray beard. You can even see its face. Look at its nose right there. You see it? This was recorded in East Texas. Massive creature.
Some dismissed it as a hoax, while others insisted it was evidence that the Lake Worth monster had returned. So did he really capture a Bigfoot in the wilds of Canada? With secluded logging roads like this one, it wouldn't be the first time. But I want to hear what you think. Drop your thoughts in the comments below. A Vermont man says he recorded unsettling green night vision footage of what he believes may be a juvenile Bigfoot sitting in a tree. The video shows a small, dark figure gripping the trunk, then climbing deeper into the branches with unexpected agility. Reactions are mixed. Some viewers argue it is nothing more than a bear cub or possibly a porcupine, while others point out that the movement does not seem typical for either animal. With no clear imagery available, no definitive conclusion can be drawn, but the footage has undoubtedly reignited speculation about what could be lurking in Vermont's forests.
Just staring right out at me, not bolting like a bear cub, say, would do. Hello? There's a lot we can pick up on this video that I did not notice at the time. Here he is moving some leaves out of the way from our right to left. Or could it even be a wave? I can see you. Next, he turns and shimmies up the tree.
Where are you? I think I see you.
Hello.
In some shots, we see a young Bigfoot climbing a tree. The author sees fluffy hair on his back, which may indicate the young age of the individual and incomplete molting. In many mammals, a thick, more fluffy coat is characteristic precisely for the adolescent stage, when the coat has not yet acquired the density and structure of an adult. In addition, such a hair distribution may indicate a seasonal change of coat. which indirectly confirms the biological rather than mythological nature of the creature. It is also important that the ability to confidently climb a tree indicates a well-developed upper body musculature and coordination, which is rarely observed in adults in such observations. This leads some researchers to suggest that young Bigfoots spend more time in the trees, both for safety and to observe the surrounding area. Some cryptozoologists consider Vermont to be part of the so-called Appalachian Corridor, a hypothetical route along which a Bigfoot population could move from the southern United States into Canada. Within this framework, Vermont is viewed as a quiet node, a place where the creatures do not remain for long, but appear on a regular basis. In early April 2014, a man named Will came across a set of unusual footprints while hiking in the mountains of Genoa, Nevada. According to the Sierra Tahoe Bigfoot research blog, Will is an experienced tracker who spent significant time outdoors. While following fresh deer tracks, he noticed something odd. The deer prints abruptly stopped in a steep canyon, but large human-like footprints continued through the same area. Will photographed 15 of these prints, which appear broader and deeper than typical human tracks, suggesting that something heavy had passed through. The remote and rugged location only added to the mystery, given Will's expertise in identifying wildlife signs. The research group regarded his discovery as more credible than many casual sightings. The blog does not claim this proves the existence of Bigfoot, but it does highlight how skilled outdoorsmen sometimes encounter unexplained evidence in the wilderness. The Genoa Trackway remains one of Nevada's better documented cases, thanks to a knowledgeable witness, thorough notes, and clear photographic records of the tracks. So, what do you think? Could these be genuine Bigfoot prints, or is there another explanation? Share your thoughts in the comments below. A boy in Australia recording a video about making a fire in the woods may have unintentionally documented a possible Yowie encounter. In the footage, an unseen presence appears to throw an object at him from the tree line, followed by loud movement and aggressive territorial sounds, behavior that could suggest an attempt to scare him away from the area. Whether this was a genuine Yowie sighting or simply someone in a costume remains open to debate.
Whoa! Whoa!
As promised, here's one of the clearest and most convincing Bigfoot sightings I've seen. According to the uploader, an equipment operator clearing trails for the National Park Wildlife Corridor spots a tall, dark, upright beast watching him work. This footage was captured directly by the corridor's webcams, giving it an added layer of credibility. The figure is clearly upright and large, standing out against the natural backdrop, and the fact that it was recorded by stationary cameras means there's no shaky hand excuse. What we're seeing appears to be genuinely unusual. The first couple of shots look pretty standard, just showing the operator clearing trails. But then, in the third shot, something dark and upright suddenly appears. And just like the caption said, it seems to be watching him work. Maybe the sound of the heavy machinery caught its attention, or maybe it wasn't happy about its territory being disturbed. Either way, it stands there, shifting slightly from side to side, observing. What really jumps out is the size. This thing is massive, both tall and wide, far too big to be a person in a costume. The video cuts off soon after, and it's assumed the creature quietly left the area. Reports suggest this all happened in a Canadian national park, which, as many of my videos show, seems to be a hotspot for sightings. Maybe it's time I plan a trip to Canada for some Bigfoot hunting of my own. But for now, take a look and tell me what you think. I'd say this clip is pretty convincing. This remarkable Bigfoot encounter was originally recorded in 2009, but it has largely gone unnoticed until recently resurfacing on January 9th, 2025. The video's caption reads, quote, "Deer being stalked by a Bigfoot. A man was out hiking when he came across a long gravel path," end quote. After reaching the path in a small clearing, he noticed a group of deer standing motionless. Fascinated by the scene, he began recording them. That's when a massive, unknown presence makes itself known. What appears to be a Bigfoot-like figure emerges, seemingly stalking the deer. Its presence is evident in real time, as the deer remain locked onto it, turning their heads and tracking its movement as it walks along the path. The dark figure comes to a stop and stares down the trail for roughly 5 to 6 seconds before turning and walking away, leaving both the hiker and the deer visibly unsettled. As it retreats, its sheer size becomes more apparent. The broad back, unusually long arms, and what looks like a thick covering of dark fur are clearly visible. Naturally, skeptics have challenged these claims. Some argue that the figure is not a Bigfoot at all, but simply a large person who happened to walk onto the path. They suggest that when the video is paused and zoomed in, the figure appears to be wearing a dark sweatshirt. Others, however, are fully convinced this is a Sasquatch. They point to the unusual gait, the way the arms swing, and the overall proportions of the figure as evidence that it doesn't move like a human. It's certainly an interesting debate. What do you think? Is this just a person whose features are distorted by distance and resolution, or could it truly be a Bigfoot quietly observing both the deer and the hiker? Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. While trekking along a secluded forest trail, a hiker feels an odd sensation, as if something is watching them. A rustle in the underbrush catches their attention. With a quick motion, they turn to see a large, shadowy figure crouched behind the dense vegetation. The shape is covered in rough, dark hair, and although it bears a vaguely human-like form, there's something distinctly off about it. The hiker's heart races, driven by a mix of curiosity and instinctive caution. Without thinking, they quickly snap a photo, capturing the figure just before it slips silently back into the thick foliage. Later, when reviewing the image on their camera, the hiker's breath catches. The photo seems to show a creature, large, hairy, and partially obscured, possibly a Bigfoot, lurking just off the trail. Watching them pass by, the realization sends a chill down their spine, leaving them both shaken and intrigued by what they may have encountered in the wild. Here's another fresh Bigfoot sighting, uploaded on November 7th, 2025, making it brand new. The footage is fairly clear, but the figure is partially obscured by thick fog in the area. If you've seen one of my earlier Bigfoot videos, you might recognize a similar clip, where a Bigfoot was spotted in the fog. It seems like these foggy encounters are becoming more common lately. The caption on the video reads, "Incredible new Bigfoot footage. This is the best footage of Sasquatch I've seen yet." And honestly, I have to agree, it's pretty impressive. Within the fog, a creature that closely resembles Bigfoot is visible, an ape-like, yet human-like figure. It approaches the hiker, then turns away, glancing in the opposite direction. That's when the man decides to flee. While the encounter is brief, it still serves as an incredible piece of evidence. The creature appears thick and strong, which is a typical trait of Sasquatch sightings. However, skeptics have been quick to question the footage. Some suggest it could be a man in a costume or the result of some very convincing video effects. They also point to the rise of AI-generated imagery, which has become increasingly realistic. Despite these doubts, the hiker himself denies any allegations of a hoax, insisting the encounter was genuine. What adds to the intrigue is the fact that 2 separate videos showing Bigfoot in a foggy forest have surfaced recently. Both within the last couple of weeks, this has led many to believe even more strongly that these creatures might indeed exist. A hiker became lost in a Swedish forest for roughly 30 minutes. While searching for the trail, a sudden piercing scream echoed through the trees.
okay, what the fuck? That was like a voice, but I don't know where. Like, it sounded like it came from if you walk through here. But I have no idea how to walk through there because it's like, I mean, great time to pull up the camera, I guess. That's great. Like screaming. That's the what? Second time I've heard screaming. It lasted way longer. Yeah. No, I'm like pretty lost actually.
More screams echo from various directions. The hiker recorded the sounds while continuing on, unsure of their source. There were no nearby houses or roads. Later, some suggested the noises could have come from animals, such as foxes or roe deer, which are known to produce eerily human-like sounds. Eventually, the hiker found a clear path and reached safety, though uncertainty remained about whether the sounds were truly just wildlife. While camping in a secluded shelter deep in the Michigan woods, a man settles in for the night with his 2 dogs, Miley and Lola. The stillness is abruptly shattered by eerie, echoing howls, long, powerful calls unlike any coyote or wolf he has ever encountered. His dogs stiffen, fixated on the dark forest.
You guys hear that? What the hell is that? That sounds like a skinwalker, Wendigo. What is that, girl? What's that, Lola? Dude, that shit's so crazy as hell. It's coming from both sides. What is it, girls? You hear it? Dude, that thing's getting closer, though. What is it, girl? You hear it? Dude, I don't want to leave this blind. Whatever that is, it's creepy as shit. Except the dogs wound up. What's going on, Miley? Lola? Should we go out there and find out what it is? Huh? That's crazy sound.
Some of the sounds are low, guttural moans, while others resemble a mix of whoops, screams, and loud knocks on nearby trees, patterns often reported in Bigfoot encounters. Experts suggest such vocalizations could serve as territorial warnings, communication between individuals, or even attempts to intimidate intruders. Unsure if the noises are coming from a Bigfoot, dogman, or some other unknown creature, the man can do nothing but listen as the mysterious presence moves around the camp, drawing closer with every unsettling sound. Next up, we've got a Bigfoot sighting at Mono Lake, California, one of the state's most surreal and alien-looking spots. Mono Lake is an ancient saltwater lake tucked into a quiet desert basin east of the Sierra Nevada. With no natural outlet, salts and minerals have built up over thousands of years, giving the water a strange, almost silky texture. The lake is also famous for its tufa towers, tall, jagged limestone formations that jut out of the water like something straight out of a sci-fi movie. But Mono Lake isn't just known for its bizarre scenery. It is also a hotspot for reports of unusual creatures. Among them, this footage allegedly captures a Bigfoot lurking near the lake, adding yet another layer of mystery to this already otherworldly location. This footage was captured by a man who was simply trying to film the stunning Mono Lake landscape, but in the background for just a fleeting moment, a pitch-black figure appears, dark as a shadow. Its build screams Bigfoot, long swinging arms, a domed head, and an unmistakably humanoid shape. It shows itself briefly before disappearing behind the jagged tufa formations. California has a long history with Bigfoot sightings. Most famously, the Patterson-Gimlin film, the most studied Bigfoot footage ever, was shot in Northern California along Bluff Creek. This video comes from Central California, so it's not exactly the same area, but still within a state known for strange encounters. Even though this clip is short, it's compelling. Between the story, the remote location, and the creature's appearance, it feels authentic. Could California really be hiding Sasquatches in its wild corners? This video makes you wonder. A massive, dark, two-legged figure slid silently between the trees, moving deliberately as if it were observing him in return. The shape paused for a moment, then disappeared into the shadows, and the footage abruptly cut off without any explanation. A hunter carefully sets up a trail camera at the edge of his remote campsite before packing his gear and leaving the area for the day. The forest appears calm and undisturbed as he disappears down the trail, unaware of what will unfold in his absence. Hours later, the camera records unexpected movement between the trees. A large, Bigfoot-like figure slowly emerges from the shadows, standing at a short distance as if studying the campsite. The figure remains still for several moments, its massive frame partially obscured by brush, suggesting caution and awareness. After observing, it begins to move closer, step by deliberate step, until it reaches the hunter's tent. The creature briefly inspects the structure before gripping the fabric with one hand, tugging at it as if testing its contents or scent. After several tense seconds, the figure releases the tent and retreats back into the forest, vanishing as silently as it appeared. The footage concludes later when the hunter returns to camp, casually going about his routine, completely unaware that his camera has captured something extraordinary while he was gone. Bigfoot evidence seems to pop up more often than ever these days. Videos, photos, eyewitness accounts, you name it. But what about a Bigfoot selfie? I'm not talking about Bigfoot holding the camera, but one of those rare moments where someone snaps a photo and the creature just happens to appear in the background. That's exactly what happened to a lone hiker back on February 20th, 2022 in Northern Virginia. She was trekking through Shenandoah National Park along the Appalachian Trail as the sun was setting, casting the forest in that golden hour glow. Everything was picture perfect until she snapped a selfie that would later become infamous among Bigfoot enthusiasts. She didn't think twice about it at the time. She snapped the photo, finished her hike, and went on with her day. But later, when she looked back at that selfie, everything changed. Standing behind her in the background is a disturbing human-shaped figure. It appears aggressive, arms stretched outward, and it looks like it's staring directly at her. The unsettling part is the realization that it may have been following her the entire time she was on the trail. Once the image started circulating online, theories flooded in. Some believe it's a Bigfoot-like creature, possibly a juvenile sasquatch. Others went in a more supernatural direction, suggesting it could be a ghost or something far beyond our understanding. Skeptics offered an even more terrifying explanation, that she may have been unknowingly stalked by someone in the woods. But when you really study the image, the proportions stand out. The arm length, the posture, the overall stance. It just doesn't line up with a normal human. And honestly, being followed in the wilderness by anything is enough to trigger pure fear. Whether it's an unknown creature, another person, or a predatory animal, it taps into one of the most primal fears we have as humans. The feeling that you're not alone, and something is watching you. While hiking up a mountain when man says he spotted a Bigfoot walking ahead of him. Take a look.
Bigfoot went up into that cave. I just saw Bigfoot.
Unfortunately, he didn't manage to capture the creature, only his reaction. Without concrete evidence, many remain skeptical of his claim. The hunter, during the inspection of the new hunting grounds, placed the camera at the creek, and at 5:57 p.m., with the sun long gone and the temperature a brisk 52 degrees, the infrared flash triggered, catching something that should not be there. Take a look at the far left margin, just behind that thick foreground tree. While the rest of the woods seems standard, we have a clear, dark mass that breaks the verticality of the timber. What we are seeing here is classic peeking behavior, a trait reported by thousands of witnesses worldwide. The creature is using the diameter of the tree to obscure its bulk, but it couldn't hide the most compelling piece of evidence: the eyeshine. Notice the height of those two glowing orbs. Based on the surrounding saplings, we are looking at a set of eyes positioned roughly 7 to 8 feet off the ground. The density of the shadow behind the tree is too solid to be a trick of the light or pixelation. There is a physical volume there that absorbs the infrared light differently than the leaves. If this were a bear, we would expect a different snout profile. But here, the eyes are forward-facing and set into a wide, heavy brow. The sheer shoulder width suggested by the dark shape behind the bark points toward a massive, muscular build consistent with Sasquatch morphology. Is this a resident of the creek bed watching the intruder? The camera with curiosity? The placement is too deliberate for a stray animal. This is a predator or a high-level scout observing its territory. What do you think? Is this the definitive proof we've been waiting for? Or just a trick of the night? Drop your theories in the comments below, and don't forget to like and sub for more Deep Woods analysis. Here's another fairly strange Bigfoot capture. This one reportedly comes from a golf course in Pennsylvania. According to the caption, the image was taken by a trail camera in 2023 and shows what is described as a dark, hulking figure standing between 6 and 7 feet tall. The figure was allegedly spotted near the 9th hole at dusk. The photo itself is quite grainy, but it clearly shows a creature with what many would consider a textbook Sasquatch appearance. The figure appears to be partially concealed behind a fallen tree. Even though the image was captured at night by a trail camera with limited low-light capability, the subject is still surprisingly visible. Take a close look at the face. It appears human-like, yet distinctly primal. Exactly how Bigfoot's facial features are often described. From the pronounced bone structure to the slightly puckered, oversized lips, the broad nose, large forehead, and prominent brow ridge, nearly every detail aligns with classic Bigfoot descriptions. The body proportions also fit what witnesses frequently report. I believe this image may have even been featured on the well-known show Finding Bigfoot. What makes this sighting especially interesting is the location. A Bigfoot appearing near a golf course is unusual, but many courses are fairly remote and often surrounded by wooded areas. In theory, a creature like this could easily move through, or even take shelter in such an environment at night. Still, this may be the first reported Bigfoot capture from a golf course. Let me know what you'd do if you ever ran into a Bigfoot while out golfing. Let's take a look at another unique and highly convincing Bigfoot video. This footage was uploaded on July 28th, 2025, and submitted to the Bigfoot research group Rocky Mountain Sasquatch by the individual who recorded it. The witness writes, quote, "Bigfoot watching my dog play in the Eastern Sierras back in May," end quote.
Be careful.
He recalls that the elevation at that location was roughly 10,000 feet, and the sighting occurred the moment he began recording. The man was simply trying to capture footage of his dogs playing when he unintentionally filmed what appears to be a Sasquatch. One of the dogs seems to notice it as well, looking directly in its direction. The dog watches the figure move past, but shows little reaction, quickly returning to play with the other dog. The witness states, quote, "It's very clear this creature has dark-colored fur. It's not clothing. It looks completely natural. I believe this is the real thing," end quote. Rocky Mountain Sasquatch later analyzed the footage and highlighted several key details. They point out that the figure appears to have a domed head, a feature commonly reported in Bigfoot sightings, and that its movement seems far too smooth to be a person. There is no noticeable up and down motion typical of human walking. Instead, the figure appears to glide. The Sierra Nevada mountain range, stretching through California and into Nevada, is one of the West's oldest landscapes and has long been connected to Bigfoot lore. For over a century, reports of strange encounters, unusual tracks, and countless campfire stories have helped keep the legend alive throughout these mountains. Long before the term Bigfoot was ever used, several indigenous tribes in and around the Sierra Nevadas told stories of large, hairy, human-like beings. Depending on the tribe, these entities were described as forest guardians, tricksters, or dangerous wild men inhabiting the high country. What's most important is that these stories were not isolated incidents. They appeared across the region, suggesting that encounters with mysterious figures in these mountains have been occurring for generations. There are many other reports just like this from the area, but if I covered them all, we'd be here all day. I'll leave it at that. Still, this particular video stands out, and when combined with the region's long and unsettling Bigfoot history, it becomes even more compelling. Here's another Bigfoot encounter that feels shockingly real. This one comes from a family out on a hike, just soaking in the scenery. They ventured deep into the woods, aiming for a particular spot, a small waterfall where they could stand beneath the cascading water. Once they arrived, one of them started recording to capture the moment, but in the background, something unexpected quietly makes its presence known. Through the spray of the waterfall, a bipedal silhouette emerges, a large, dark figure that undeniably resembles a Bigfoot. The family keeps filming as it moves along, then abruptly stops the recording, likely too stunned to continue. What was supposed to be a peaceful visit to the waterfall quickly turned into an encounter with something that many claim doesn't even exist. Slowing the footage down, you can make out more details. An upright figure with a broad back and hunched shoulders. Skeptics immediately suggested it's just a person with a backpack walking along the elevated terrain. But believers argue the proportions and movements match Sasquatch reports far too closely to ignore. Like many sightings, this one remains up for debate, but it certainly isn't lacking in authenticity. The story feels genuine, and the remote location with its endless water sources could easily serve as a Bigfoot habitat, a perfect hideout for an elusive creature. And yet, the next sighting I'm about to show keeps up this sense of realism while giving us some of the clearest footage we've seen so far. Let's dive in. Here's the latest Bigfoot sighting making waves online. A guy named Kyle Campbell captured this footage on November 24th, 2025, along a quiet logging road in the dense forests of British Columbia, Canada. The video itself is surprisingly clear, but the creature is partially hidden behind thick foliage. Even though we don't get a perfect view, the encounter feels incredibly authentic. There's something about the way it moves and holds itself that makes you stop and think, could this really be Bigfoot? Some Bigfoot videos online feel staged or just off, but this one doesn't. Kyle Campbell spotted something Bigfoot-like not too far away, whipped out his phone, got a quick recording, and then wisely backed off. Staying any longer could have put him in serious danger. His goal was simple: capture proof and get out safely. Watching the footage closely, you can make out a tall, dark, upright figure peeking from behind a tree, clearly trying to stay hidden. At one point, it bends down and then slips back behind the tree. You can just barely make out a humanoid shape, with a broad, slightly hunched posture. The way it moves doesn't match any known animal, definitely not a bear. Kyle himself is clear, this wasn't a bear or any other wildlife he's familiar with.